Welcome back. I'm here today with Dow Wilson. Dow is the Chief Executive Officer of Varian Corporation. It's headquartered here in the Silicon Valley. Dow, welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
So take me through the background of how did you get to where you are today, from school and...
Well, like everybody, a lot of serendipity and hard work, I guess, would be from the highest level. I was born in Pocatello, Idaho, moved to Oregon when I was in high school, went to Brigham Young University for my undergraduate degree work. There I took a little bit of everything. I thought I wanted to go to medical school, so I took a lot of science classes, but I was also convinced that the opportunity in college was the opportunity to learn how to think. So I actually ended up majoring in English literature. I had served a mission for my church, and while I was on my mission, I decided I want to go to business school. And so still took a lot of science classes to kind of keep that medical school option open in case I wanted to do that. But after we graduated from BYU in must have been 1982 or so, we actually moved to the Bay Area, and I worked for a small consulting firm here in the Bay Area for a year and a half doing healthcare consulting, which was a lot of fun and had a great time. And in particular, I noticed my boss had some skills that I didn't have, and that accentuated my desire to go back to school for an MBA. So I applied to school, and we ended up going to the Tuck School at Dartmouth and got an MBA at Dartmouth and graduated in 1985. In 1985, it was kind of interesting. I had a number of jobs with investment banks and was really leaning towards going into an investment banking career. It's what I had done during my summer in business school. And I had two neighbors, both of whom were GE alums. And the GE recruiter came to campus and said that he was a Dartmouth graduate. Nobody signed up. They were late in the season. Nobody signed up. And he said, if you can get anybody to sign up for the GE recruitment, I'll take them all out to dinner. So, of course, we wanted a free dinner and went to interview with GE. These were the early days of Jack Welch at GE. The short version is I was incredibly impressed. The values, the people, the performance culture, the global opportunity, just a whole set of things that leveraged what I knew, the little I knew about healthcare. And so I went to work in GE's medical systems business in Milwaukee in 1985. We were with GE for 20 years. I managed a number of businesses for them through the years. We also had the opportunity to live in Europe. We lived in Europe for 6 or 7 years with GE, and spent 18 years with GE Medical Systems and 2 years with GE Plastics. It was a lot of fun, a lot of growing opportunities. And then in 2004, I was running GE. I was CEO of GE Healthcare's information technology business. Had about 10,000 employees and $2.5–3 billion worth of sales. And I was feeling a little bit itchy. To Stanford, I was pulling the car in the driveway, and I just heard this little voice say, "You're supposed to go to California too." And you laugh at these things; they happen to you, and you're pretty happy in your life. And why would such a voice whisper that? But anyway, the short version is the next week I got a set of phone calls, and by the end of that year, I was working for Varian Medical Systems in Palo Alto, running their oncology business in 2005. Then I was made CEO 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago.
So What do you enjoy most about running a multinational corporation?
It's a lot of fun. We're a company that makes a huge difference in public health. Our vision is to save 100,000 lives a year. The global cancer burden is about 12 million deaths, 12 to 14 million deaths a year. It's a huge public health problem. So, one of the things that motivates many of us at Varian is the chance to make a huge difference in public health. So we fight cancer with our products. We also diagnose a lot of disease. We have a division that makes X-ray detectors and tubes, and so we both diagnose and treat cancer.
I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. Dow is the Chief Executive Officer of Varian Corporation. Dow, we need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Varian Corporation, headquartered here in Silicon Valley. Dow, in the positions that you've held, you were at GE running a division with 10,000 employees, and Varian is some 7,000 employees. At some point in your career, you were moving into positions that required you to work with large organizational teams and strategy and putting things together. And how did you approach the leadership of getting so many people to work together and getting everyone on the same page?
Well, I think first of all, the opportunity to lead is fun. You have to enjoy it. It's not always stress-free, but it is a lot of fun. And I view it as a trust. It's for me at Varian, it's a trust that shareholders place in me. It's a trust that customers place in me. It's a trust that our employees place in me, and it's a trust in that the community also places in you. I think CEOs and leaders of any organization have to be careful that these things don't go to their head. That's obviously a big temptation, and clearly, there's a lot in the business press today about some of the problems of greed and things that kind of Shakespearean tragedy, so to speak, that happens to leaders as they take over. So I've always felt, maybe a little bit instilled by my dad, who was a pretty good business leader in his own right, that you've got to earn that trust every day and return it to those stakeholders who are part of it. And humility is a huge part of that. I think it also has to be fun. It has to be fun for you as a leader. Has to be fun for you as the team. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and your team does too. So, at least for me, that's always kind of been the perspective that I've had about it, and it's made it a lot of fun.
How do you get teams to work together?
Teams, I think as a leader, one of the things a leader has to do is you got to make sure the goals are clear, and that everybody's on board with those goals. Second of all, you've got to make sure that the team is as focused as it can be, preferably if they're co-located. More and more in this world of global product development, that's hard. But can you achieve virtual co-location in the way the goals are oriented? I think very regular. It was funny. I had a boss who said to me a long time ago, very early in my career, he said, "Dow, touch 50 people a day." And in this virtual world, anymore, I'm probably touching in some way 500 people a day. But just the idea of a physical touch of 50 people a day, to let them know that you care, that you're on their side, that you're listening to their issues, that you're monitoring the progress of their programs. We're very much an organic, growth-driven company. We've put up almost 20% earnings growth now for 15 years in a row, and so we have a track record that we're very proud of, but it hasn't been an acquisition-driven track record. It's an organic, growth-driven track record. So product development is very important to us, and making sure we understand what customers' obstacles are, so that we can design products that fix those obstacles. Being aware of what the challenges are in cancer, what some of the other threats are to our business. We spend a lot of time in front of customers. Anyway, these are some of the key things that we do to try to make sure our teams are empowered and moving along.
I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Varian. We've been talking about leadership in running multinational corporations. Dow, we need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
He's the world's most trustworthy man. Tax filing deadlines are scheduled around his vacation calendar. The IRS agent who audited his client apologized.
I don't always advise people on their taxes, but when I do, I save them every penny legally possible.
GrowCo CPAs and Advisors.
Come to GrowCo and stay wealthy, my friend.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. Dow is the Chief Executive Officer of Varian Corporation, headquartered here in Silicon Valley. Dow, what can you tell our audience about your radiosurgery suite offerings from Varian?
Radiation therapy has changed a lot. Clearly, radiation is one of the gold standards in many cancers, and we've made huge improvement in our fight against cancer. For example, in breast and prostate cancer, 5-year survival rates over the last 25 years have gone from 50% to over 90%. So our mission at Varian is really to make cancer a chronic disease that can be managed over a long period of time, not a death sentence the way it was 25 years ago. The radiosurgery application is a very exciting one. The biggest cancer killer today is lung cancer. Obviously, it's an environmental cancer. Tobacco use is a big problem in many parts of the world, and more air pollution is also a cause of lung cancer. There's estimates that there will be more lung cancer burden in China in 15 years than there is total cancer burden in the world today. So radiosurgery is an application of radiation therapy where we give a short and fast, intense burst of radiation to especially a lung tumor to try to eradicate it. And one of the challenges of lung cancer is we breathe. And because we breathe, the body moves, and so this tumor is moving. So we've developed technology that helps ensure that we just deliver the radiation to the tumor while it's moving and not damage the healthy tissue around the tumor. So it's a very exciting development, and many leading institutions here in the U.S. and around the world are using this technology, and we think it'll make a huge difference to public health.
Dow, earlier you mentioned about Varian's track record, 20% growth, sustained growth over the last 15 years. That's phenomenal. What would you attribute that to in your organization's process to getting people to continue to work together and unitedly? What's the secret sauce here?
I think it starts with a vision, and for us it's a very mobilizing vision that's our goal is to save 100,000 lives every year. And, that's something everybody in the organization can rally behind. Everybody wakes up to in the organization. For us, it literally is a matter of life and death. So to talk about lung cancer with your team and, what is this motion management tool going to do as we bring it to market, it puts a real sense of urgency in the product programs that we develop, and is a lot of fun. So it starts with vision. That's where it starts.
In the you mentioned also in the sustained growth, you've been able to eradicate a lot of the unpredictability of cancer to where you have like a 90% success rate in treatment. And how do you attribute that in the technology? Are you working with a lot of other organizations and R&D?
So we're not a provider of healthcare, but we are. We sell machines to customers throughout the world. We have very significant research partnerships. From the MD Anderson's, Memorial Sloan Kettering's, the top cancer institutions in the U.S., to community hospitals, to accountable care organizations, to emerging market customers. We really do everything we can to work with our customers to understand their problems and design back from the most difficult customer problems that are out there to make sure we're solving their issues.
I'm going to change the page now. I'm going to turn it. Young graduate coming out of MBA school, looking at today's world, what advice would you give them for their career?
A couple things. One is take some risk. It's interesting. When I graduated from business school in 1985, I had a number of offers from investment banks. I thought that's what I would go do. And then kind of, as I mentioned at the top, I got this offer from GE. It was from probably a career standpoint, it was at the surface, it may seem less risky than an investment banking career, but in point of fact, it was probably the riskiest thing of the lot. And it's just been a terrific career opportunity. The other thing I'd say is, if you can, it's not always the case, but if you can, try to have your first job or two be something where you can gain some perspective from the top of the organization and see the strategy overall. There's a lot of times that we have to move down in the organization in a marketing or product development or sales role or engineering or whatever. And you're kind of working on your little piece of the business, but it's great to have opportunities. Maybe sometimes you have to volunteer for them to get some perspective from the top of the organization. The other thing I'd say is, it's about the globe, and I'd really look for opportunities that are exciting global opportunities, and not be constrained by things that are too local, so to speak. It's interesting. I just made a tour of Northern Africa. First time in my career. Morocco, Tunisia, United Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and then in a separate trip, South Africa, Tanzania, and Kenya. And Africa's today, just in healthcare, it's 28% of the global health burden. It's 11% of the global population and 3% of the global healthcare resources. And that's just our industry. And I'm sure that every other industry mirrors it. And, we've been talking about the BRIC countries, but the MBA of today, the future is going to be about these other emerging markets: Latin America, Africa, Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia. Are the markets of the future. Largest city in the world is Lagos, and in Nigeria. And how are these geographies gonna play out over the next decade or two? These are the things I'd be thinking about if I were graduating from business school.
I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Varian. Dow, we need to take a quick break, and when we get back, I want to talk about how you balance your life. We'll be right back after these messages.
With current laws, we have left our children an enormous financial burden. Even though they may be too young to understand it. At GROCO, we care about you and the ones you love, and the quality of your and their lives. Call us today to see how we can help. 877-CPA-2006.
Helping you along the way.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Dow Wilson. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Varian Corporation, headquartered here in Silicon Valley. Dow, we've been talking about the sustained growth record of Varian, and you've done a tremendous job, taking over the reins and continuing this growth and to tackle the problems in this world with cancer and the treatment there at Varian. But in addition to this, leading the corporation, you have another calling in the community, serving as a stake president for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Menlo Park area. That's no small undertaking. I have to ask you, how do you find balance in life running such a large multinational corporation and serving in a heavy community responsibility?
You know, I heard once somebody say that work-life balance is described as when your wife, your children, your job, your church, and your hobbies are all equally unhappy with you. And sometimes it feels that way with the pressures and stress of life. But you know, more seriously, I think you know, clearly family is at the top of the list for us. Success isn't defined as you know, money or position, but as kind of a long-term contribution of our family, and are we making a difference? Do our children love each other and respect and sometimes love their parents? And are they making a contribution to the world? We've got a daughter who runs a very exciting foundation that is working to, it's called the Reset Foundation, that is working to reform prison and the education environment in prison. Is a very exciting educational opportunity where they're trying to get especially 18 to 25-year-old prisoners an education so that they can get their life going in a new way and not be subject to the 80% recidivism rate that often besets prisoners as they come out. So for us, that's success, is, you know, having our children, seeing them happy, seeing them engaged and making a difference in their lives. You know, balance is never easy. You know, one of the commitments that we try to make, not always easy, but you know, we try to reserve Sunday for our family. Sometimes work impedes on that, but it's really a commitment that we try to make as a family, that can be our family day. I think you have to look for, you know, anytime you're in a big job, a big career, you have to look for opportunities to kind of create some synergy. And how can you involve your family in some of your work things, and to take them to a trade show or to take them to a customer occasionally, and to somehow involve your family in your activity and generate some shared experience, and have your family help understand. Have your family understand what you do, and then they have a little bit more empathy to some of the hours that you might have to put in from time to time. So I actually think it is challenging. There is a lot going on, but it's a lot of fun too.
You know, you mentioned that throughout that question of the success of family. When everything's said and done, you know, how do you want your life to look?
You know, I think you want to make a difference. You know, you want to, I don't know what, I've never really thought about what would be on my tombstone, but, you know, I think that he made a difference would be a pretty good start. You know, it's just, for me, it's public health, it's a contribution to my children, it's a service you provide in a community. It's you know, the philanthropy that you're involved in, whether it's hours or financial contribution. These are all significant parts of the difference that you make.
I've been visiting here today with Dow Wilson. He's a Chief Executive Officer at Varian. Thanks for joining us here on America Dreams. Join us right here on this station next week.